Hello everybody and welcome to another scenario review. Today we're going to be talking about the Lair of Dagon scenario from the Innsmouth Conspiracy. This is the 7th and second last scenario in the campaign, but time-wise it takes place a little bit earlier. Wow, that's crazy. Whoa, what the heck? As always, these reviews are very spoiler heavy. We're going to be talking about even upcoming scenarios. The final scenario might be mentioned here. So just if you do not want to be spoiled, check out somewhere else. This is a big, in-depth look at it. I've been normally passing to Bryn or Travis to start this one off, but I'll start Lair of Dagon for this week's video, for the reviews, and I'll start with theme. So I think that the theme of this one, the idea of the first half is cool, right? I have fond memories of the Esoteric Order of Dagon because of Arkham Horror 2nd Edition. So having an ability to go and explore the Esoteric Order of Dagon is really cool. However, I think ultimately I can't really think of anything that really amplifies that theme to really show off. I can't even tell you really what the rooms that you go to are, because there's just 4 random rooms and a hidden, and then the top floor. And in one of those rooms there's just some fishy looking guy, which totally makes sense, but it's not really memorable. And then you get down to the second half of the scenario where you're exploring underwater caverns again. And then it turns into a really awkward, albeit fun and stressful, don't wag Dagon situation. I do like the stress that comes from it, the kind of push and pull, being can we do this? It's kind of tricky. But I don't think there's a memorable theme for me in any of this. So I'm going to go I'm going pretty low for mine, and that's why I kind of wanted to start with a 1.5. So Travis, I'm going to throw it to you next, and what do you think about the theme of the Lair of Dagon?
I would give it I give it a 2. I get what you're saying. It doesn't really feel like a church or anything like that, like the actual Lair of Dagon. I get where they're going for, where they're it's this, kind of shitty, decrepit building, but it's actually just a cover for, a actual underwater cavern and church to Dagon, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they didn't really make it work. I guess they kind of missed the mark on that. So, yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Bryn? What do you think for the theme of the Lair of Dagon?
Well, I was gonna give this one a 5 until I listened to you guys talk, and I realized that the theme of this was not getting stuck behind unfun RNG dependent encounter cards. There's supposed to be an entire underwater church and stuff. That sounds sick. It's not mostly what I see out of this scenario. Yeah. No, most of my memories of this one are oh no, there's a horrible revolving secret door that only one of us can open.
Yeah, in my mind,
nobody else can move through.
Yeah, it's like a stone, archway. It's like a stone, step that it's easy to jump over. The fighter has to climb, and then the book person is how do I get up over this? I need to find a point to step onto, and it's just makes it funnier in my mind.
Yeah, I'd probably also give this one a 2, I think. The Dagon part is really neat.
Yeah.
Though that part does also suffer from occasionally that just that encounter card just gets slapped on a location. You're oh, guess we're done here.
Yeah. For fun, I don't think this one is particularly unfun. It's the problem as well with this scenario is that it revolves around its mechanic is hey, what if we have players interact with curse and later on bless tokens? Like, what if they need to play with them? And I think it's fun. Like, I think the most fun part of this scenario is finding the statue and then flipping it, right? Because, like, it's a nice little mini quest that exists in the scenario that, unfortunately, is, like, the only real hook that's, like, memorable for a fun point to me. I'm like tempted to give it like a 2.5 as like an average thing, but as I like look at the Lair of Dagon and my recent 2 plays of it, I think I'm like on the like slightly lower. I think it's a 2 out of 5. It's like a below average fun for me, because like the only real fun moments are the statue, as I said, and then also the don't wag Dagon at the end. Like that part is actively kind of fun because it's like tense and tricky. But I just don't think it's a very enjoyable scenario. What about you, Travis?
I would give this like a 2.5. Yeah, there's nothing like horribly wrong about it, but there's nothing like good about it either. It's just kind of there. So, yeah.
Yeah, just exists within the campaign. Yeah.
Yeah, you're mostly just kind of playing ARKHAM in Innsmouth, and that's it.
Yep. What about you, Bryn?
Yeah, I think I'm game to give this one a 2 as well. Like, I don't hate it. It's not, like, actively unfun, mostly. I just, like, it's not, I wouldn't pick to play it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't choose to show someone this scenario if I wanted them to like the game.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I have the best... Okay, you know what we're going to do? We're going to play ARKHAM today, and I have the best scenario standalone I'm going to show you. And then you come with Lair of Dagon, and they're like, what? Admittedly, they might think it's cool, you know, because it's their first time. Yeah. But when everything else exists, it does bring it down a bit. Yeah. For difficulty, I think that... So we have to look at the difficulty in 2 ways, right? Because like the actual difficulty of finishing the final act is tough. Then you can look at it even further, finishing the final act without waking Dagon, right? Like I think those are like the 2 levels of difficulty. I do think finishing it without waking Dagon is like a 4.5 to a 5 difficulty. I think it is pretty tricky. We've only done it, I believe, on our blind run. We may have done it in the Survivor one. I think we might have just fucked off in the Survivor one, though. We might have just been like, bye. But the actual, like, getting it done without waking up Dagon, I think is pretty tricky. Everything else in the scenario is pretty straightforward. As Bryn said, the RNG of just getting the wrong encounter card on the wrong location at the wrong time can be very infuriating. I do think, though, I'm gonna like skew a bit higher because I do want to get like the actual perfect finish in mind. So while I think on its own, like the encounter cards in the scenario itself, this is like probably like a 2.5. It's like an average scenario, maybe like even a like on the lower end it could be a 2. But I think I'm gonna go with a 4 just to get like that perfect ending as well. All right, what about you, Travis? What do you think?
Yeah, give it like a 3.5. Like, I don't think it's that difficult to get through it without waking Dagon up, as long as you're like planning to do that and you're not like screwing around with the statue and stuff like we tend to do.
The statue's OP.
It is very strong.
Yeah, but it's not easy either, so yeah.
What about you, Bryn?
Yeah, like I think I usually grade these with the idea of having like the good ending for their difficulty. And like this one I would probably give like a 4 or a 4.5, because like what am I gonna do, not screw around with the statue?
Yeah, what am
like,
I gonna not spend one of my keys on this?
You can't ask me not to do that.
Yeah. I think overall, for me, it is a below average scenario experience. So that's why I'm going to give it a 2. Like, to me, like an average scenario, I'm like, this is still, like, fine. and I like don't like I'll even play it even if I'm not looking forward to it. With the Lair of Dagon, we start to get into that point where it's like, oh no, we're playing Lair of Dagon next. Oh, that's a little bit unfortunate. So that's why for me, I'm gonna give it a 2, just a little bit under average. What about you, Travis?
I'm gonna give it a 2.5. I think this is just like pretty average Arkham. It does score like a couple of points for I think that story wise it's a nice setup for the last scenario.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, like mechanically it's kind of lackluster. It's just kind of more Innsmouth, so.
What about you, Bryn?
Yeah, I think I would also give this one a 2.5. Like, it's just kind of more of the same, you know? Like, classic Arkham style, sometimes you lose when you shouldn't have. However, also, sometimes you just win and the hard part doesn't happen because it didn't. You know? I don't think there's, like, anything special here. It's just, you know, round 2, fish boogaloo.
I get you. Yeah. Yeah, no, and admittedly from my tone as well from all this, I'm like, as you can see, even in just the scores, I'm a little bit under. But, you know, that's why we have all 3 of us here. So what do you think, people watching at home, watching Lair of Dagon, watching our review on this one? What do you think of Lair of Dagon? Let us know down in the comments. Next week, we're going to finally finish up Innsmouth as punctual as ever with Into the Maelstrom. So you should come hang out with us while we do that review. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching. Have a good one. And as always, GG's. Oh, sorry. One second. I gotta thank the patrons. Oh my god. I was on freaking pandemic autopilot there. Just like recording at a distance. I haven't done this in a while. I'm like, what the heck? Thank you, patrons. Thank you so much. Now I can say have a good one. And as always, GG's.